Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Tara Arnold, and tonight I'm going to be consciously channeling Ascended Master Saint Germain as he gives us tips on quantum jumping. So for those of you who want to create a life that you desire, then you've come to the right place. And before we begin, I just want to mention that I did post new live channeling events. There's 3 coming up in the near future for live channeled events. These are group events done via Zoom, and I will put the link in the description below if you would like to join us. I'm just tapping in to see what Saint Germain's showing us to assist us in quantum jumping while we're here on planet Earth. And the first thing he's bringing in is he's showing me that there is another version of you that is living out that desire already in a parallel timeline. So all of our past lifetimes exist now. All our future lifetimes exist now. He shows me that time is like folded space and everything is happening now. We see it as linear, as past, present, and future, but our spiritual body is seeing it as everything is happening now. So every decision that we make, he shows me that with every decision we make, there is another aspect of us that unfolds into a parallel timeline in third dimension and lives out the other decision. So if you're deciding to buy a truck or a car and you purchase the car, then there's another aspect of you that unfolded into another timeline and purchased the truck. So when you start to use quantum jumping, that version of you already exists somewhere. If you have visualized it and decided that that's what you want to create in your reality, there is an aspect of you that has unfolded and began to live that reality. So all you're doing to quantum jump, this is what he's saying, it will help all of us, is to go meet that person, that version of you that already exists. So to do that, you just do it in a visualization. What does that person look like? What is their life playing out as? How do they dress? How do they talk? How do they look? How do they feel? What is the emotion that goes with living that life that you desire? So if, for example, if you'd like to meet a life partner and you're like, I've been manifesting it and it's not happening, have you gone to meet that version of yourself? Because that's the frequency you need to be in order to collapse that parallel timeline back into this reality now. So you just go into a visualization. He's showing me you can do it like, just take a few minutes every day to visualize this. It doesn't have to be like constant, but spend some time specifically going to meet that version of yourself. How do they dress? What do they look like? How are they feeling? How do they talk? Where do they live? How do they interact with that person, that life partner that you're desiring to meet? Visualize it as if you already have it and get into the feeling of what that would be like. Like go in your visualization and meet yourself in that version of yourself in that timeline. Like, do you dress different, talk different? How are your emotions? Like, get into the feeling. What does that person feel like? Do they wake up every day happy and joyous because they have this life partner that they are excited to spend every day with? So what is that version of yourself feeling? You've got to get into the feeling of it. So go meet that version of yourself, talk to them, observe them, follow them around the house. How do they, play out their day? What is it that you really desire? And get into the feeling of it. And then it's going to collapse back into this timeline now. It's like living the life you have now as if you already have what you desire. So for those of you who are having a difficult time doing this, just think of how you already do it when you have a memory from childhood. So when you have a memory from childhood, you go back into a parallel timeline from the past, or an illusion of the past, because everything's happening now. So you go back and you remember how it felt when somebody hurt your feelings in grade 5. So you're flying back into that parallel timeline and having the emotions and feeling what it felt like. Or maybe you won something in grade 6, you won a prize, and you're going back to that timeline, you're remembering how it felt to win that prize. So going back to the timelines from the past feels very easy for a lot of people. Well, that's all you're doing when you tap into the version of yourself in the future. And so it's not even in the future, it's a parallel timeline. So it's happening now. So just going in and really getting into the feeling of it, you can incorporate it into your day, because he's showing me, if you're going shopping, say, and you'd like to manifest a new house, and when you go shopping, shop as if you're buying things for the new house. Like, oh, this utensil set would look good in my new house. And then you visualize putting that into your new house, the kitchen drawer in your new house, and what it would feel like to open the drawer and to wash the new utensils and then dry them and then put them into the new drawer. You're not visualizing putting it into the kitchen drawer that you already have in the house that you're living in currently. You're going to the future timeline or the parallel timeline, and you are purchasing these utensils for that timeline and being in that visualization, into that feeling of it. So say that you want to create a chef in your reality. Every time you cook, visualize talking to that chef and explaining to him what type of food you'd like to eat, or to her. You explain to them what type of food you'd like to eat and how you'd like it prepared and what spices that you most enjoy, and maybe visualize a garden that you plant specifically for when the chef is cooking. They can incorporate food from the garden into your foods. So you can do this as you're cooking, like every night when you're cooking. If you're desiring to have a chef in your reality and you don't yet have one, visualize talking to that chef. And then you're tapping into the parallel timeline, the version of you that already has a chef, and how you would talk to that chef. What would they wear? What would they look like? What would their emotions be? What would their personality be? Like, get into the visualization of having a conversation with them. So if you don't visualize, you can write this down. You can just write a story about that version of yourself. So write it out if you can't visualize. Like, this is what it would look like and feel like, and if I had that in my reality. Okay, so for those of you who are saying, well, I already do this and it's not working, he's showing me that there's some of us that haven't yet mastered the polarity of that which we're seeking. So the contrast, in order to get to the vibrational frequency of the opposite contrast, we have to first master the polarity of that in the dark. So to get to the light, you've got to master the dark. So if you're desiring to have a life partner, have you mastered loneliness? Like, do you feel comfortable being alone? You have to master that before your desires will collapse into your reality. So if it hasn't yet shown up, it's the universe showing you there's still frequencies you need to manifest. So if you have to master loneliness, then going in and loving the inner child and not needing to have a life partner because you're so happy with yourself, right when you get to that point, that's when the life partner will collapse into your reality. It's because you're fully accepted and are happy and in the vibration of happiness in the polarity of the frequency that you're desiring. So mastering that frequency is the key to having the polarity of that drop into your reality. So going in to love yourself, if you're lonely and you're wanting a life partner, when you master loving yourself to the point where you don't feel lonely anymore, when you're by yourself, you feel fulfilled, that's when that person's going to show up into your reality. And it's the same with anything materialistic or poverty, mastering the emotions around poverty. Like, where am I feeling it? What chakras am I feeling it? He's showing me it's like our spirit wants to transmute all the dark back to light. So if I experience the polarity of that which I am, now I can know the opposite of that in that frequency. So you've got to go to the deepest depths to get the greatest desire to show up in your reality. So it's really exploring and not resisting those frequencies that aren't so comfortable. So if it's money that you're wanting to have show up in your reality, and you have to go through all the feelings of what it is like to be in poverty. It's very uncomfortable. It does not feel safe. And that's where you surrender and say, okay, I'm just going to observe and get happy and be happy even while I'm in poverty. Can I be free while in prison? That's always the thing that Saint Germain says, and he's saying it again. He's like, can you be free while you're in this prison that you created? And once you're free within that frequency of the prison that you created, then it shows up, the polarity of that shows up in your reality as something delicious and something exciting. So these are the tips from Saint Germain. Remember, there's already a version of you that is living out that parallel lifetime that you're desiring, getting into that frequency of it. Go visit that person, hang out with them in your visualization, or write it down if you don't visualize. And eventually it will show up in your third dimension reality. Thanks for watching. We will see you next time. Have a great night.